Hi, and welcome to EPG Pathshala Spanish. We are learning the intermediate paper of Spanish grammar. I'd like to first introduce myself. I'm Rajiv Saxena, and I teach Spanish in the Center of Spanish, Portuguese, Italian, and Latin American Studies of the Jawaharlal Nehru University in New Delhi. So, in this module, we are going to be learning about the preterite tense. This is the objective to learn about the preterite tense. However, it should be noted that unlike in English, Spanish has two simple past tenses known as the preterite or the preterito and the imperfecto. In this module, we will learn the uses of the preterite, and in the next module, we will deal with the past imperfect or imperfecto. Preterite is often termed as the lifeline for speakers who are beginners because once they are past the basic learning phase, preterite helps them to form complex sentences and to communicate about things that happened in the past. So that is why preterite is very important, because you're talking about complex sentences that are happening in the past, actions which happen in the past. That is why preterite plays a very important role here in learning Spanish. As you study how to narrate and communicate in the past, you will be able to distinguish these two past tenses, which is the preterite and the imperfecto, by the endings and the specific functions that they perform in context. It should be noted that Spanish is a very context specific language. So in this case also, both these past tenses, the preterite and the imperfecto, you would be able to understand their specific functions that they are performing in these specific contexts. The preterite tense is used to express events that were completed in the past. Completed, they started and completed. The preterite of regular verbs is formed by dropping the AR, ER and IR of the infinitive verbs and adding the following endings. So, for the pronoun or the verb pensar, to think, beber, to drink, or vivir, to live, we have pensé, bebí, viví. For the two, we have pensaste, bebiste, and viviste. I repeat, for pensar, pensé, for imperfecto, it is preterite, it is pensaste, and in beber, to drink, it becomes bebí or bebiste, or in the usted form, ella usted form, it becomes viví or viviste. In the ella and usted, it is pensó, bebió or vivió with an accent on the O's. Ella, usted pensó, bebió or vivió. Nosotros or nosotras, it is pensamos, bebimos or vivimos. In vosotros or vosotras, it becomes pensasteis, bebisteis or vivisteis. In ellos, ellas and ustedes, it becomes pensaron, bebieron and vivieron. I would suggest that go back and have a look at the table which deals with the conjugation of these verbs, which you will find in the e-text which is coming along with this paper. What we have to note in the conjugations is that the first and third person singular forms of the preterite have a written accent mark. So you have to note that the first, yo, and the third person singular, ella and usted, of the preterite have a written accent mark. The nosotros form of AR and IR verbs is the same in the preterite as well as in the present. So the nosotros form of AR and IR is easier to learn because it is the same as in preterite as is in the present. And you can come to know the difference only by the context in which the entire text or the speech is given in. The statement that the first and third person singular forms of the preterite have a written accent can be explained better with examples such as hablé, habló, pensé, pensó, traté, trató, imaginé, imaginó, escuché, escuchó. I repeat, the statements that the first and the third person singular forms of the preterite having a written accent mark can be explained better or understood better in the e-text as well as over here when you're talking about verbs such as hable with an accent on e, hablo with an accent on o, pensé with an accent on e, pensó with an accent on o, trate with an accent on e, trató with an accent on o, imagine with an accent on e, and imaginó with an accent on o, escuché with an accent on e, and escuchó with an accent on o. The statements that the nosotros form of AR and IR verbs is the same in the preterite and the present will be more easy to understand when we look at the examples like these. The present is hablamos, in the past is also hablamos. Escribimos is also escribimos in the past. Vivimos in the present is vivimos in the past. Escuchamos in the present is escuchamos in the past. We know the meanings of all these verbs. Hablamos is we speak. Escribimos is we write. Vivimos is we live. Escuchamos is we hear. So only by the context we come to know whether we're talking about the past or the present for these verbs which are in the same in the nosotros form. So as we have seen that both the nosotros forms is the same in the past and in the preterite. So even though it might be confusing to identify between the two, it is not very difficult to get it through the context. In the examples that follow, each of the first two statements expresses an habitual action in the present with the help of expressions todos los días, every day, and siempre, always. The present tense is appropriate in these examples. So, we are going to be dealing with examples that are talking about two statements which express an habitual action in the present with the help of expressions like todos los días, every day, and siempre, always. Let us look at the examples. Jugamos a las 12 todos los días. We play every noon, every day, todos los días. So it is a present and jugamos a las 12 todos los días. Siempre viajamos a Patna los veranos. We always travel to Patna in the summers. Siempre viajamos a Patna los veranos. We always travel to Patna in the summers. Let us look at some more examples. Comemos a las 12 todos los días. We eat at noon every day because we are talking about todos los días. So, comemos a las 12 at noon todos los días, every day. Siempre hablamos español. We always speak Spanish because it is siempre, that is why we always speak Spanish. Vemos películas nuevas a las 9 todos los días. We watch new movies at 9 every day. Vemos películas nuevas a las 9 todos los días. We watch new movies at 9 every day. Siempre vamos a auditorios los domingos. We always go to auditoriums on Sundays. Siempre vamos a auditorios los domingos. On the other hand, the expressions of time, ayer, a la 1:30, yesterday, at 1:30, and el año pasado, last year, change the context of the statements, pointing to actions or events that took place at specific times in the past. So, ayer, a la 1:30, el año pasado are marcadores de tiempo or time markers that point to actions or events that took place at specific times, at specified times in the past. So that is why preterite is being used. Ayer llegamos a la 1:30. Yesterday we arrived at 1:30. El mes pasado viajamos a España. Last month we traveled to Spain. El mes pasado viajamos a España. So, let us have a look at some more examples. Anoche andamos a las 2. Last night we swam at 2 o'clock. Anoche nadamos a las 2. Anoche nadamos a las 2. Last night we swam at 2. El año pasado fuimos a China. Last year we went to China. El año pasado, the last year, fuimos a China. We went to China. Ayer llegamos a la fiesta muy tarde. This is another example where we can see with ayer we are using the past. Ayer llegamos a la fiesta muy tarde. Yesterday we arrived at the party very late. Ayer llegamos a la fiesta muy tarde. El mes pasado nos matriculamos en la universidad. So, another example would be the last month we got admission in the university. El mes pasado nos matriculamos en la universidad. When do we use the preterite in Spanish? Verb endings in Spanish indicate which noun or pronoun is doing the action. So, by the verb endings, we are knowing which noun or pronoun is doing the action. They also provide details about the time and circumstances under which these actions took place. Different past tenses communicate different ideas, and that is why we must choose the tense that fits the message we want to communicate. So, I repeat that the different past tenses, the preterite and the imperfect, communicate very different ideas, and that is why we must choose carefully the tense that fits in with the message that we want to convey. We use preterite in the cases of 1. An action that was totally completed in the past. Ellos llegaron el año pasado. An action totally completed in the past. They arrived last year. Ellos llegaron el año pasado. Yo hablé con mi hermano a las 5 de la tarde. I talked to my brother at 5 in the evening. Yo hablé con mi hermano a las 5 de la tarde. The marcadores de tiempo, the time markers, are last year or 5 in the evening. Año pasado a las 5 de la tarde. Also, the preterite is used to express an action which has been completed at a definite, specific moment in the past. I repeat, an action which is completed at a definite, specific moment in the past has to have the preterite tense. Mi hermano salió a las 5. My brother left at 5 o'clock. Mi hermano salió a las 5. So, the marcador de tiempo or the time marker over here is clearly a las 5, at 5 o'clock. Mi hermano salió, preterite, a las 5. These key time expressions help us to establish the meaning of each sentence. Like we had said, el año pasado, the marcador de tiempo, the time marker, and a las 5, at 5 o'clock, point out the time the actions took the place and signal the use of the preterite. So these marcadores de tiempo, the time markers, año pasado a las 5, always signal the use of the preterite and point out the specific time that the actions took place. Sometimes these signals or expressions may not be stated literally. So a single word such as salí is equivalent to I left, communicating a simple action completed in the past. So, for a verb such as salí, which is I left, does not always require to have the marcador de tiempo, the time marker, as a las 5 or ayer or anoche. Some expressions we are going to be dealing with which indicate a specific or fixed time in the past or when an action began or ended, so that the use of the preterite is very clear. These are the marcadores de tiempo or idiomatic expressions which indicate a specific time or fixed point in the past or when an action began or ended, and in these cases preterite has to be used as a rule. A esa hora, at that time. A esa hora salí, at that time I went. Anoche, last night. Anoche llegué, muy tarde. Last night I reached very late. Ante anoche, the night before last. Ante ayer, the day before yesterday. Ayer a mediodía, yesterday at noon. Ayer por la mañana, yesterday morning. Ayer por la noche, yesterday evening. Or ayer por la tarde, yesterday afternoon. What I would suggest is to understand these and learn all these things which have been given in the e-text which comes with this module. So, ayer a mediodía, ayer por la mañana, ayer por la noche, ayer por la tarde, a esa hora, anoche, antenoche, anteayer. All these are important marcadores de tiempo which signal the use of preterite because they are specifying a time and they are also specifying when the action was completed. So, in the same line as we can see it in the e-text, we also have other phrases like el año pasado, last year, el lunes pasado, last Monday, last Tuesday, last Thursday, el mes pasado, last month. So have a look at the e-text and learn all these marcadores de tiempo. Apart from this, we also have en ese momento, at that moment, hace 10 años. 10 years ago, hace 10 años, viví en Lucknow. 10 years ago, I used to live in Lucknow. Hoy por la mañana, this morning. La semana pasada, last week. These are the expressions that are very important and which carry the preterite with them. Which are the other uses of the preterite? The preterite is also used to communicate other actions which are occurring in the past, such as an action or event that lasted for a specific period of time. If you can be determined for how long the action took place, preterite has to be used. So, if the time is determined for how long the action took place, then preterite has to be used. Esperó 2 horas en la sala del auditorio. He waited 2 hours in the auditorium hall. So, esperó 2 horas because we are talking about 2 hours, which is the marcador de tiempo. The time marker we have using esperó, he waited. So in this case, the action has started and has lasted for a determined period of time and has ended. A series of actions or events which have been completed in the past also carry the preterite. Note that when you may not be able to determine when these actions took place or for how long, yet you can identify a series of specific actions in the past. So, if you are talking about a series of actions or events completed in the past, you have to use the preterite. For example, yo llegué a la oficina, preterite. Preparé un café, preterite. Me senté, preterite. Y llamé a un cliente, preterite. Llegué, preparé, senté, llamé. Yo llegué, yo preparé, me senté y me llamé. I arrived at the office, I prepared a cup of coffee, sat down and called a client. Actions or events that are not usually repeated, such as cumplir años, to turn a specific age, or having a birthday, darse cuenta de, to realize, or decidir, to decide, are actions which are not usually repeated. So, of the examples that I have taken, let us elaborate on one which is cumplir años, to turn a specific age. For example, he cumplido 5 años como médico. I have completed 5 years as a doctor. He cumplido 5 años como médico. ¿Has cumplido los años que se exige para matricularse aquí? Have you reached the age that they require here to get you registered? ¿Has cumplido los años que se exige para matricularse aquí? Another example would be no es posible que hayas cumplido tantos años. It is not possible for you to be that old. No es posible que hayas cumplido tantos años. This is also a compliment to be given. Darse cuenta de, to realize. Me di cuenta de que no había ninguna persona de mi edad allí. I realized that there was nobody of my age there. Me di cuenta, preterite, que no había ninguna persona de mi edad allí. De repente le dio cuenta de que todo era un desierto. Suddenly he realized that it was all a desert. De repente le dio cuenta de que era todo un desierto. No nos damos cuenta de la situación aquí. We did not realize the situation here. No nos damos cuenta de la situación aquí. So, the other verbs which are of the same kind and which get conjugated in the same manner are descubrir, for example, to discover, graduarse, to graduate because you graduate at a specific time or you discover a thing at one time. Morir, to die because you die at a specific time. Morir. So, descubrir, graduarse, morir are all taken in the preterite tense of the Spanish language. Usually, it is easy to establish that the action was completed at a certain point in the past or to determine the specific time that it occurred, making the use of the preterite logical. Mi hermano cumplió 20 años. So, it is logical to use the preterite here because we are saying my brother turned 20. Mi hermano cumplió 20 años. Another example where it is logical to use the preterite is Ellas se graduaron hace 2 años. They graduated 2 years ago. Ellas se graduaron hace 2 años. They, feminine, graduated 2 years ago. Él murió a las 80 años. He died at the 80 years of age. Él murió a las 80 años. So, the verbs which have spelling changes in the preterite are in the preterite tense and they cannot be categorized as irregular verbs, but changes are required by Spanish spelling rules to preserve the hard sound of the consonants G and C with K and G. So, the spelling changing verbs are not categorized as irregular verbs, but these changes are required by Spanish rules to preserve the hard sounds of these consonants G and C, which are being replaced by K and G. Note that in the preterite, these changes apply to the yo form only. So, let us have a look at some of these examples. Llegar. Llegué. Yo llegué al colegio temprano. I reached college early. I reached school early. Llegué al colegio temprano. Jugar. Jugué al tenis ayer. I played tennis yesterday. Acercarse. Me acerqué al mendigo. I approached the beggar. Me acerqué al mendigo. When we say that the action was established or was completed at a certain point in the past, or we want to determine the specific time it occurred, it makes the use of preterite logical. Mi jefe cumplió 30 años. My boss turned 30. Mi jefe cumplió 30 años. We've already given examples of cumplir. So, the same, mi jefe cumplió 30 años. Mis tías se graduaron hace 5 años. My aunts graduated 5 years ago. Ella murió a las 90 años. She died at 90 years of age. Ella murió a las 90 años. Now, let us talk about the verbs that end in CAR, which changes the C to K. For example, explicar changes to explique with an accent on E. Car changes to K, QU. Explicar, explique. So, the other verbs that end in gar, GAR, change the G to ge, GU. Llegar, llegué. Explicar, expliqué. Llegar, llegué. And the verbs that end in SAR, ZAR, change the Z to C, as in almorzar, almorcé. There are separate modules assigned for the different kind of verbs. You can also have a look at these modules to understand which are the separate modules, which are the separate kind of verbs, and in which category they can be done, and learn up the conjugation of these verbs because they are very important. Other spelling changes verbs in the past in the preterite are the verb leer, to read, oír, to hear, construir, to build. Yo leí, oí, construí. Tú leíste, oíste, construiste. Él, ella, usted leyó, oyó, construyó. Or, for nosotros, nosotras, it is leímos, oímos, and construimos. We can also have a printout of these verbs in the e-text and practice them because these are very important verbs and they should be learned for doing the conjugation. Vosotros, vosotras, leíste, leísteis, oísteis, and construisteis. Ellos, ellas, and ustedes leyeron, oyeron, and construyeron. So take a printout of leer, oír, and construir and learn up the conjugation of all these three verbs. You have to observe also after taking the printout that leer, oír, and construir change I to Y, but only in the third person singular and plural forms. All the forms of leer and oír have accent marks on the endings except the ellos or the elias form. Dar, ser, and ir are irregular. Dar, to give, is conjugated as di, diste, dio. Dimos, disteis, dieron. Yo di, tú diste, él, ella, usted dio. Nosotros dimos, vosotros disteis, ella, ellos, ellas, and ustedes dieron. Ser and ir, to go, to be. Fui, fuiste, fue. Fuimos, fuisteis, fueron. So, yo fui, tú fuiste, él, ella, usted fue, nosotros fuimos, vosotros, vosotras fuisteis, and ellos, ellas, and ustedes fueron. So, these are the conjugations of ser and of ir. Now, for concluding, we would like to say is that we have tried to cover a lot about the preterite and its usages, but like we know that practice makes a man perfect, so we need to do more exercises and learn how to use it. Once learned thoroughly, the usages of preterite have a wide application in the Spanish language. So, ¿estudiaste la lengua española? Sí, lo estudié. Muchas gracias.